think it's fair to say the path of destruction that she left in her wake is going to be felt for quite some time. Make no mistake about it, this was a devastating storm, maybe the worst that we have ever experienced. Our first responders have been doing a heroic job protecting our city and saving lives, and they are still fighting fires and conducting life-saving search and rescue missions, and we owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. The storm brought something like 23 serious fires to parts of Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, as well as City Island and the Bronx. The terrible fire on Breezy Point is now under control, but we believe we lost more than 80 houses. The search and recovery operations there are ongoing. If any of you saw the pictures on television, it looked like a forest fire out in the Midwest. The winds were just devastating, blowing from one building to the next one, and those buildings were close together. We are hoping and praying that there was no loss of life in those fires, but even if we can save every life, we know that many people have lost their homes, and I want them to know that they have our full support in the days and weeks ahead. The 76 shelters we opened will remain open today, and we will continue to keep shelters open until people displaced by the storm can safely return to their homes or find temporary housing. Our first priority in this storm was and continues to be protecting lives, and that's why we ordered an evacuation of the areas most at risk and why we worked so hard to get people out. Sadly, this storm claimed the lives of people throughout the region, including at least 10 in our city. And tragically, we expect that number to go up as information continues to come in. And I did want to extend my condolences to all the families who lost loved ones in the storm and ask all New Yorkers to keep them in their thoughts and prayers. In addition to the lives we lost, the damage we're facing our city going forward are getting our mass transit system up and running and restoring power. This morning, we have begun the work of clearing and reopening bridges and roadways, both of which will take some time, and the best ways New Yorkers can help us get this done quickly is to stay off the roads. The work is well underway. East River bridges have already been reopened. The work of getting our mass transit grid and our power grid restored, however, is going to take more time and a lot of patience. MTA CEO Joe Lauder has described this as the worst disaster the agency has seen in the 108 years the subways have been running, and Con Ed has described the damage done to its power systems as unprecedented in scope. So clearly the challenges our city faces in the coming days are enormous. The MTA and Con Ed both have very strong leaders and extraordinarily dedicated workers. They are working extremely hard, and they will continue to work around the clock to get their systems fixed. Our administration will move heaven and earth to help them so we can get back up and running as quickly as humanly possible. But the damages that they face really are enormous. Here's the information that we have as of this moment. Regarding Con Ed and the MTA, the most recent report has approximately 750,000 New Yorkers without power. There are something like 326 buildings and 59 public housing developments without power. That's about 60,000 people in more than 26,000 apartments, and many of them are in Zone A. The steam system in Manhattan south of 42nd Street was shut down as a preventive step by Con Ed. That affects heating, air conditioning, ventilation systems, including many of our hospitals. And because they shut it down preemptively, we're hopeful that the steam system can be restored fairly soon. I spoke to Con Ed CEO Kevin Burke to offer any assistance that we can provide. We will talk to him again later on. But I think it is fair to say that you should expect, given the extent of the damage, power may be out in lots of places for 2 or 3 days and maybe even a little bit longer than that. There is extensive flooding in all under-river the metro area are closed today. Runways are flooded, and there are no flights leaving or arriving. How much damage was done to the navigation equipment and lighting around them, we don't know yet. To help people get around, I've signed an executive order that permits cab drivers to pick up multiple passengers, even if a passenger is already in the cab. It will also allow livery and black cars to pick up passengers off the street anywhere in the city. These measures will be in place as long as MTA service is out. If you use one of these cars, please make sure that the car has a TLC license plate. Now let me bring you up to date on our hospitals. We reported last night that NYU Downtown and the Manhattan Veterans Hospitals were closed. NYU Langone also had to be evacuated overnight. That is virtually complete. Bellevue Hospital has lost power, but at the moment is operating on backup power. Coney Island Hospital has been evacuated. The Department of Health is sending people to each of the hospitals and chronic care facilities in Zone A. We've had significant challenges at many of our hospitals and healthcare facilities. Fortunately, as of now, there has been no storm-related fatalities at any of them. There are more than 6,100 people in our emergency shelters, and I'm happy to say there are more than 2,200 city staff working in those shelters right now. A number of our shelters lost power last night, but we were able to get backup generators to those that didn't have one. We've received almost 4,000 tree service requests since the storm began. Those are for damaged or falling trees. The majority of those are in Queens. Let me just urge everybody, 311 for downed trees, please, or text 311 to report damage. They represent a real and serious danger, and we see very tragic proof of that today. Yesterday, a partly damaged crane at a site on West 57th Street required evacuation of the immediate vicinity. The Department of Buildings has determined that the crane is currently stable. However, we can't fully secure the crane until the wind dies down. The procedure there will, when the winds die down, be to try to get the boom and strap it to the building, and then we could reopen the streets, and then over a period of time, the contracting company will have to figure out ways to build a new crane on top and take that one down. Schools, as you know, are closed today, and I'm announcing they will also be closed tomorrow. As to city employees, here's what we've told them. New Yorkers need your help today. Working for the city, we have an obligation to help others. If your office is open and if you can safely, and I repeat, safely get to work, please do so. If your office is closed and you can safely report to a shelter to assist with operations, please do so. For example, all HRA centers are open for the people who need to access benefits, including replacement food stamp vouchers for people who lost food as a result of the storm. In addition, we are beginning to reach out to small businesses to help them recover their business and stay in business. 311 has long waiting times right now, so please use 311 online or text 311. Verizon had some problems with their lines, but we've managed to keep some of the 311 lines open. 911 has been going without a hitch. Delays got up to 5 minutes. Last time I checked, they were minimal. But 911 has to be reserved only for life-threatening things, not for a tree, please. We've just got to make sure that if somebody has a real emergency, we can get to them. And in terms of real emergencies, if you see a power line down, don't go near it. We've had some people killed for stepping in a puddle where a power line had also touched the water. We expected an unprecedented storm impact here in New York City, and that's what we got. So while the worst of the storm is past, conditions are still dangerous. I just can't stress that enough. We will have some coastal flooding in effect today until about 3 p.m. We'll update you if that changes, but stay away from the parks. They're all closed. Don't go near damaged trees, beaches, sidewalks, or seawalls. People have lost their lives. I know it's fun to look and it's fun to challenge nature, but nature is an awful lot more powerful than we are, and we just don't need any more fatalities. That's a recap of where we are. Our two biggest challenges going forward will be getting our transit system and power grid up and running, and we'll do everything humanly possible to assist the MTA and Con Ed in doing that. This morning we continue to focus on life-saving operations, not only fighting fires, but protecting our hospitals and nursing homes. But when we get through the days ahead, we will get through the days ahead by doing what we always do in tough times, by standing together, shoulder to shoulder, ready to help a neighbor, comfort a stranger and get the city we love back on its feet. I will continue to update you throughout the day. Later in the day, I'll be surveying some of the areas where there's the most severe damage. We'll take a few questions, but before, let me just try to summarize for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers.
As Mayor Bloomberg said, expect power to be out 2 or 3 days or longer. 750,000 New Yorkers have no power right now. Many are in Zone A. The Con Ed steam south of 42nd Street has been shut down as a preventive measure by Con Ed. That includes many hospitals with no power, so evacuations have been successful and others are continuing.
What was also interesting, he was talking about, Mayor Bloomberg was talking about how Joe Lotus said that with the flooding of the subway tunnels, this is the biggest challenge to the subway system in the 108 years that subways have been running, which gives you a little bit of perspective. Also, he said that the flooding in the tunnels was extensive, but luckily they got most of the subway trains out of the way, so there was no damage, as the mayor put it, to the rolling stock, the trains itself. So that's a good thing.
That was a very smart move. New York City parks are closed. Mayor Bloomberg says, please stay away from the seawalls. People want to see Mother Nature's fury and see the spectacle of it, but he says people die that way. The mayor reports at least 10 people have died in New York City as a result of this storm. Sandy.
WCBS News Time, 11:16.